Hey friends, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys a bit about my experience with grief after receiving my diagnosis of autism as a 35-year-old. Lots of fun. So I know my experience isn't necessarily the only experience, okay? I know a lot of people who experienced a lot of joy, relief, happiness even. I know a lot of people who were very indifferent, who just didn't really care. Well, okay, well, I already knew that, so whatever. I did not think I was going to feel as bad as I did after the fact, but there were a lot of factors that played into why I felt as bad as I did. And also, before I dive in the off chance that friends, family, ex-coworkers, whoever, what have you, okay, you're seeing this, please take everything I say with a grain of salt and know that it is not directly about you. And if you feel like it is, let's mull over that for a little bit and note that I'm only sharing my experience because there are people on the internet who've let me know that it's been helpful and I feel like it's important to share. I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm not trying to be anybody special because goodness knows, this is for informational purposes only, okay? And so, like I said, my autistic experience, it's not the universal autistic experience. Let's dive in. If you've missed it, I did share my full autism assessment video. It's linked. I got it linked somewhere. If it's not linked somewhere up there, it's going to be linked in the description box. Go check it out if you would like to see sort of a really full, raw look at what the experience was like for me. I had documented it for myself and also because it was something that I really wanted to share. But basically, grief was not kind of something that I expected to come from this. And of course, you can experience grief in a lot of different ways in your life. I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist. I'm not a professional in that field in any capacity. This is my lived experience only. And grief is something that I've become intimately familiar with over the last little while in a lot of different ways. That was just not something that I thought was going to impact me the way that it did. And so how did it impact me? It's a great question. Let's talk about it. Basically, what was happening was I was experiencing like flooding of memories and things that there's a good chance I might cry in this. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I can't help it. Okay? It might happen. So just grab some Kleenex if that's something that was going to trigger you. Okay. These memories that are now colored with autism? I don't know. It's very much like that scene, the Pixar one with the emotions that I can never remember the stupid name of. It's got the worst name ever and I can never remember what it's called, but the little emotions. And what the f is that movie called? Pixar movie with emotions. Inside Out. Could you have called it anything else, please? Anything. So it's like that scene in Inside Out where the little orb of happiness or whatever, the little joyful memory, and then it starts to turn blue. It's literally, it was like that for me, but in good and bad ways. When you realize that times when people treated you badly or, friendships fell apart, things happened in school or whatever, that it wasn't for the reasons you might have thought it was at the time. It was because I am a fundamentally different person than a lot of the people that I was interacting with on the regular. I was very much taught that it's okay to be different. That was a thing in my household where I grew up. Like, it's good to be different. It's okay to stand out. It's okay to do things on your own. And that was anyways very hard for me. And I tried to be brave, but there were a lot of times you're starting a new school. And even though there were people that you went to school with previously, I didn't, friendships and things didn't carry over. And it was really hard to make new friends. And there's the grief in knowing that I can't go back to change anything. At 35 years, if I live another 35 years, okay, I'm gonna be 70? And I feel and I know, please, for those of you, because I know there are a lot of you at that stage in life that you just got diagnosed at 60 or 50 or even 70. There's been a few of you who've been like, yeah, I just literally went through this. And knowing how I feel about it, I can't imagine how you must feel about it. And I don't want to put words in your mouth because maybe you have a very different perspective. For me, the grief in knowing that I can't go back to my 20s or I can't go back to my teenage years and do things differently and accommodate myself or ask for help now that I know that there's something wrong. And I don't mean wrong like that. Don't you go and do that. There's something different. There's something that needed to be seen and acknowledged so that life was like, it didn't have to be as hard as it was. It didn't have to be as hard as it was. That I wasn't just, I mean, like, hey, I was a bit of a bad kid sometimes. Okay, I knew how to push my mother's buttons. Okay, like we all have done and said and stupid shit. But there's a difference between that and like experiencing a meltdown or experiencing a shutdown or experiencing sensory overwhelm and knowing that there were times where people were just cruel to me because I was having a hard time and it was interpreted as if I was giving somebody a hard time. Do you know where I'm coming from with that? So like I have this one memory and this might not mean anything to you. So that's okay. But just know that you'll have your version of this in your lifetime, I'm sure. They had taken us on a class field trip to a rock climbing place. And anyways, chalk on my hands. No. Okay. And I had to put on these shoes. And of course, the shoes for rock climbing are like a second skin over your foot. And my sock was bunching in the toes. And I was trying to like make light of it, like, because I knew I was taking too long and I knew people were starting to get impatient with me. And I was trying to be like, oh, I'm just trying to fix my sock. I've got like really talented toes. Like, and the guy who was helping me said, nobody cares. Just hurry up. And I like, okay, that doesn't sound like a big deal maybe to you, but that has stuck with me my whole life. Do you know? There were a lot of these little moments. And now that I see autism, it makes me feel like I am squeezing this so tight right now. It makes me wish, and I sometimes imagine this, that I just show up as an adult to, that day or any of the other days or whenever, just show up to like me as if I'm showing up and just being like, actually, shut the hole in your face. This isn't helpful. What you're doing right now, what you're seeing is actually a struggle. Your response is kind of ass. So can you just go, and of course, maybe you don't handle it quite that way. I have a lot of anger. So it's important that you see that, okay? There's a lot of resentment and a lot of hurt and a lot of feelings that I still can't pin down. And if you can't pin it down, like, how do you work through it? I told you I was going to cry. But the fact that I can't go back and fix it or change it or explain it away that is a really hard thing. And that has created an immense feeling of loss, a loss of time. Time to get some Kleenex. A loss of possibilities, which brings me to the next one. So the next point was I lost hope. Because throughout my life, there's been kind of a story that's been spun for me, which is that, and again, don't sit there. If you're one of the people in my life who've said this to me, I am not like it. I'm processing. It's fine. It happened. You didn't mean for it to impact me this way. And I appreciate that. Teachers or family or even friends have told me, well, you're being lazy or you're, this or that. But I always imagined that it was an age issue, okay? Because I believed it. So I always imagined that one day there would come a time and I would just outgrow it. And when you sit there and they give you the whole, like, you're autistic spiel, and you start to realize that, like, you were never going to grow out of this. Like, you can grow with it, and you can grow into it, and you can grow alongside of it, but you were never going to grow out of it. I was never going to wake up one day and find human interaction a super wonderful, easy thing to do. I was never going to wake up one day and the neighbor's children screaming outside for hours on end wasn't going to send me into orbit. I was never going to wake up one day and be able to put on... Have you seen how many... Somebody make it a drinking game, honestly, at this point. How many times have you seen me adjust my socks? I'm still doing it. It's never going to not bother me. That's never going to go away. You know, maybe accommodations exist now that I know. So there's maybe construction outside, or there's kids outside, or there's dogs or birds, for God's sake, birds, the coyotes or whoever making noise outside. Okay, so maybe I wear headphones and I wear earplugs. That's growing alongside, or that's growing into, that's growing with your autism. That's learning how to make space for yourself and how to make the world a little bit easier for you. But just know that, like, I am never gonna wake up. I mean, I'm never gonna wake up one day and be normal and be just capable. It's like, okay, well, you drove the car this day. So what do you mean you can't drive the car today? You were totally fine yesterday. What happened between yesterday and today? Like, why are you so tired? Or why are you so agitated? Or why are you? And I mean, there's so many environmental factors, but there's so much going on between my ears that you don't see, that you can't necessarily comprehend exactly my experience because you aren't in here, you are in there, and your experience is different. And why should your experience matter more than mine, and why should mine matter more than yours? But I lost hope, and I lost it for a good, like, solid year of, like, utter despair. And then it did actually get worse, which I couldn't really believe, but, like, sure, man, that's cool. When you know and you have to make peace with the fact that, like, this just is who you are. I mean, like, I was starting to get suspicious. You know, you hit 30 and you're like, this is the year. This is going to be my year. I'm going to get my shit together this year. And I mean, like, I have my shit together. I pay my taxes. I file my paperwork. I run my business. Like, I'm doing my shit. But that's not really what I meant. That's not really what I mean, right? Like, it just never it's never stopped feeling like I'm just a lost kid on the playground in, like, grade 3. Like, it never, you know, it never put itself in a box and tied a big bow. It never, like, resolved. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. But, like, with that comes this more grief, because, of course, you know, that's what we're talking about today. But realizing that I'm never going to be that person that I was working so hard to be, because it wasn't real. Like, I just kept going through the motions and putting on the face and doing the things that I thought would lead to the eventuality, like to becoming that adult version, that version of myself that could be, like, loved and appreciated in that way, you know? Like, as themselves. Like, that's like, messed up. You know, you mourn the loss of, like, I look at the kind of person that I was trying to be on my other YouTube channel and trying to be for the people in my life. And it wasn't sustainable, obviously. Hello. I just kept pushing and I kept pushing. And I still, to this day, I still keep pushing because I think that I have got this hope for something. It's not the same hope that I had that I lost. It's like, it's different now. But that has taken a remarkable amount of time. So when people leave just stupid comments on my video that are like, why did you cry? Like, that's dumb. Like, you should have just been happy, or you should have been just relieved. It's so easy to say that because you're viewing it through your particular lens. And I can appreciate that, you know, not all of us have had the same experience. Like, I have people in my life who were like wildly supported growing up, and they weren't the problem. It was the situations they were in, or it was the teachers they were dealing with, or it was an environmental factor, and it was just dealt with. I mean, I don't necessarily know that this is the most common experience, but I do know people whose worlds were adjusted to meet their needs, and they turned out very differently as a result of it. So despite the fact that we experience much of the same, you know, the same sensory issues or the same little, you know, personality quirks or they have very similar needs. I wouldn't say this exact same, so same is not the right word there, but very similar. I may be a higher masking individual than they are, but it is interesting to watch that and to know that, like, the experience was so different. You can't necessarily place the blame anywhere because you don't know until you know, you know? And again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anything like that. This is something that I have been working through on my own, trying to understand that it wasn't on purpose, because you also have to know, I'm an elder millennial. I'm not the the eldest millennial, but I am a millennial. And at the time when I was a kid, the world looked very different, thank God, than it does now. I mean, not necessarily in terms of having autistic needs met, but boy, the 90s are a-calling, let's go. But like, truly, it was a very different time. And I have a lot of hurt and a lot of anger, but it's not in the way that you maybe think. Like, I don't blame any one person for my life and how I've turned out and for the autism. Like, there's no blame. I'm upset about it. I'm owed apologies for some things. I feel anyways. But it's not like, would that even help? No, because what's done is done. What happened, happened. I will not let these things happen to me again. And I know that now. But there's a lot of healing that has to be done between me and me, you know, where I have to learn for myself because I'm able to. And I know that that's also a privilege that not everybody's able to do. I have to stick up for myself. I have to say no when I need to say no, say yes when I need to say yes. And that is something that I'm working on a little bit every day. And some days it's just not happening. And other days it's great and I'm on top of it. But it is really hard, and it's very much like losing a person, because you kind of are. I didn't think I'd cry. I have bullet points that I'm going off of, and I didn't cry putting the bullet points together. I was like, oh no, this is fine. Like, this will be totally fine. It was also a relief, right? But it was a relief in the same way that maybe you have like a splinter or maybe a thorn. Let's go with thorn. Maybe that's a little bit more of a thing. It's the same kind of relief when you remove something, but there's pain in it. Do you understand? So like, if you had a crazy, like I once had a splinter. I was playing on the gymnasium, and like my hands, anyways, I had a splinter that went all the way down my thumbnail into the skin. And it's the same kind of thing. It hurt so much to remove it, and it hurt for a long time after before it healed. So, so like, that's kind of what this felt like for me, is it felt like, even though it was a relief because the pressure was gone, but there was still a lot of pain that filled that void before it started to feel better. Because though I am crying about it now, I have made so much progress. And I'm proud of that. And I know that, you know, some people in my life have seen it and have noticed a difference. Even some of you guys have noticed a difference, like on Blue Sky, you'll say like, oh wow, you're doing like pretty good, which is always kind of a dangerous thing to say to me because I still do this like mask, like, you know, so like, are you actually, I don't know. I try really hard to, when I'm showing up in the Courtney literally spaces that I'm kind of carving out for myself, that I am trying my, Jesus, I can't make it stop. And you know what really sucks is I have dry eye syndrome. A whole other thing. Don't give me health advice. Don't go, you're typing, right? Stop it. Stop typing. I don't want to hear about it. I love you so much. I have a team of doctors. It causes me so much health anxiety. Please, no more emails. I know that you mean so well, and I love so much that people care about me enough to offer that kind of stuff. I'm in orbit every time it happens. I have so much health-related OCD and anxiety. It's just, it's no good. It's no good, and it's dangerous, and it can send me really deeply spiraling. So I please want to just reinforce that boundary. Anyway, so kind of circling back, I don't regret going in. It was something I needed to know, because maybe that thorn would have gotten infected, and maybe who knows how that would have all turned out. You know what I'm saying? Metaphorically speaking, obviously. I just want you guys to know that if you are having these kinds of feelings, like, you're not alone. I know it's a really happy thing for a lot of people. And if it was for you, please don't feel bad. Don't feel like, oh, well, like, I'm going to upset, you know, Courtney, and like, this is, no. If it was a relief for you and you feel whole and everything just fell into place, like, I couldn't be happier for you if I tried. Truly. I kind of wish it had been that way for me, but it wasn't. And I guess maybe I did on some level know that that was going to be the case, just given the reasons for why I was seeking an autism assessment at 35 years old. But I will say that as the dust has slowly been settling, and I've been getting to know myself better, and I've been accommodating my needs, and I have been letting myself better use my tools, and I've been continuing to seek help for a few other things, I can see the improvements. It's a little hard when you're in it, because you're not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if you don't see somebody for a long time and then you see them and you're like, whoa, you changed a lot. Like, but they didn't, it was so gradual. They didn't notice, that kind of thing. Like, I think it's going to be an ongoing process. And I think that, you know, the only thing that I can really do, and I don't offer advice. It's all to be taken with a grain of salt. This is what I'm trying to do, is to just, in order to kind of heal the hurt, I'm doing my best to stand up for myself now, to make sure that my needs are met, and to know that life moving forward doesn't have to look like the first 35 years. It can look really different. It can be whatever I want it to be. I don't mean like I'm going to go live in a mansion and bring in a 6-figure income or anything like that. I'm not talking about that, but I mean, like, in terms of what goes on up here, I can work towards a better life for myself, knowing what I know now, which was the whole damn point. So really, if by some chance you are somebody who gives other people a hard time for wanting to know themselves better, oh, please think long and hard about it, because it's A, not your business, and second of all, everybody has a right to know themselves better if they want to. We all do. You do too. It's not just for me. Like, you know, it's been an interesting journey making videos on here, because it does feel like a lot of it is me complaining or me like crying or whining about whatever. And it is a little bit therapeutic. I'm not going to lie. You guys are kind of like free therapy for me. Much appreciated. Thank you for listening. It's more because I really needed to hear somebody else's story, hopefully the way that you're hearing mine now. I needed to find my flavor of autism, is kind of what I've been calling it, but I wanted to find somebody who was like me, because for the longest time, I couldn't. And you guys coming into my comments section and being like, well, I actually really relate to you. Like, this is, you have no idea how helpful that is. I know sometimes it's scary to leave a comment on somebody's video. You never know how it's going to be interpreted. You never know what the response is going to be. Or maybe you're just like me and you're always nervous and second guessing and this and that. But like, just know that if you're thinking of taking the plunge, just know I appreciate it so much. not even talking about YouTube and the stupid engagement and whatever nonsense, but just when you guys leave comments and I get to read through them and feel that I am not alone, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Gotta stop crying. Boy, has anybody been timing it? How long have I been crying for? Anyway, this is gonna be good. I should have taken the thumbnail photo first because now I look like this. Oops. It does get better. If you're in the thick of it right now, I still get sad about it and I still cry about it, as you can see clearly. But it has become, I don't want to say lighter either, isn't quite the right word. I have a hard time nailing down what I should call an emotion. But it does feel different. And I would hazard to say different in a good way. Okay? So it isn't just, I'm not still totally lost in the woods. I can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and as long as it's not the train, I think we're all good. But I am going to keep going because I matter to me. And it's taken me a long time to realize that. Messed up, right? But I am worth it, and you're worth it too. In case you don't believe it yet. And in case nobody's ever told you, you're worth it too. Kleenex. Seriously, this is just ridiculous. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you. I do want to make one quick announcement before we go. I am still streaming over on Twitch, but I have also made a sort of a Courtney Literally Plays Games YouTube channel. And it's where I'm going to be posting some clips of the fun that we're having, clips that you guys are all putting together, by the way. I love the community clips. It's so funny to see what you guys think are like funny moments from me. And I love it so much. And also the VODs are going to be up there. So if you're looking for just a hangout and me just jabbering in the background, and we do touch on some autism topics, like they're kind of sprinkled in there. At least once a video something comes up and it's good to talk about. So if you're interested in that, each one's like kind of 3-4 hours long. So you feel free, no pressure. This is more just as an archival thing for me for now, but I thought I would let you guys know in case you want. So I will have that linked somewhere for you to check out. And don't forget, tons of resources and things are in my description box for you to check out, including free resources. A lot of things that I touch on, I've turned into free resources for you guys, or pay what you would like to if you wish to support what I'm doing, which is always very much appreciated as I'm trying to recover from burnout. But I really appreciate you guys. The space that you've given me and the space that you've given each other is not something that you see a lot of on the internet. And I recognize how lucky I am. And I'm really grateful. And I love you all so much. And I want to thank you again for being here with me today. And I look forward to catching you all again in the next one. Bye for now.